Welcome. Having a cup of tea. I've been interrupted 3 times trying to do this live for you. So here we go again. It's not the dog, it's the husband. And I love them both. So welcome to today. It's World Humanitarian Day. And it's the day to hashtag join the human race. And it really got me thinking today, especially in light of the podcast that I released this week, which is episode 2.16 about inner power. I wanted to talk to you today about where World Humanitarian Day and my podcast intersect, because I'm seeing something with my clients that I think is important to chat about. So today's theme in World Humanitarian Day, well actually this year's theme, is about climate change. And I mean, it's really big at the moment, what's going on in the world. And there's the heat wave in Canada. There's wildfires everywhere. If it's not California, it's now Canada. It's in Greece. It's now in France. It was here in South Africa earlier this year. It's in Australia. Flooding in Germany and India. Yeah, it really is very big. But what I am seeing with my clients and even noticing in myself is this feels like too much bad news right now. It feels like we're being asked by the UN to step into a conversation about something else that is huge and frightening, but we're right in the middle of the pandemic. And we're dealing with that. And so I have two things to talk through. One is something called compassion fatigue, and the other one is inner power. And I think both of them might help you. Because really what we're doing here in midlife and about Wholebeing Happiness is our ability to really show up in the world, you know, as whole beings, as deeply happy and deeply concerned and very powerful to affect change in the world. And when we're in a compassion fatigue situation, or when we are handing over our inner power, we're not able to do that. So there's a couple of thoughts from me. So the first thing is around compassion fatigue, and the term was really coined to talk about what healthcare workers typically experience with extended burnout of looking and caring for others. It's also found in any of the emergency workers. So we'll be seeing it in paramedics, we'll be seeing it in our vaccinators, firemen, it'll be everywhere with our caretakers. And it's typically because they give and they give and they give and they give. So it's kind of an empathy fatigue, or what they call compassion fatigue. And it's called suffering the negative costs of caring. So what is interesting is to ask yourself, is this something that's going on for you too? I think during the pandemic, it's not just our healthcare workers and our emergency service providers. It might be all of us. We're either caring for loved ones who are sick, or some of us have our kids at home, or we have our old folk at home, and there is just the story after story after story of terrible things happening out there around the pandemic, and now also around climate change. What's going on in Afghanistan at the moment? I mean, there's some really horrific things going on in the world. And so the first thing really is not to be ashamed if you're here and suffering from some compassion fatigue, and to check in really deeply with yourself, how you are. You know, have a cup of tea. Tap into how your body's feeling. Are you running on adrenaline and cortisol? Are you tired? Are you burnt out? Are you irritable, grumpy, and really don't want to hear about what's going on out there in the world? Or I don't want to care about World Humanitarian Day. And then, you know, it might be interesting to think of sleep as kind of your resilience thermometer. So instead of a thermometer to check if how your temperature is for COVID, or having yourself scanned before you go out the door, is how are you sleeping? Now in midlife, sleep is an interesting topic because it's often where life bites us. And so I love to look at how I'm sleeping and how my clients are sleeping, because that gives us a gauge on what's going on for you. So first of all, how are you sleeping and how is your resilience? If you need to take time out for a little bit of self-compassion, a little bit of brain noodling, a little bit of spaciousness in your mind, please take the time. You might want to go onto my website and have a look at the recordings of my last Happiness Habits challenge. There's some nice ideas there that might help you just build up your resilience just a little bit more and bring some softness into your day and some laughter into your life, so that you can then expand out into the world. And then the other topic I want to look at around all of this compassion fatigue is around our inner power. And that's what my podcast episode 2.16 is all about, is where is your inner power by the time you get to midlife? Have you actually handed it over? And is it somewhere outside of you? And the best way to check in quite where it is for you is to start watching your language. So over the course of the next week or so, start watching what you say. Things like, he makes me so angry. This situation makes me so exhausted. My work just makes me bored. There's something there where we're looking at an external factor having control over our emotions. So if Fraser interrupts me on it live, I can say, I'm so irritated. He makes me so irritated. That's not true. Fraser's Fraser, and it's my thoughts about Fraser. And I love him, and he doesn't irritate me. So I own my emotional life. I have complete inner power over the feelings that I feel. The government should be doing this so that I feel safe or happy or secure. My company should be looking after its employees better, or me better, so that I feel good. So just question, what's an outer circumstance and what is part of your inner life patterns? Because that's where all your power exists, where all your control exists. And as a midlife woman, it's where you can make all the change. And if we do a power grab and bring it back into ourselves, our own power, instead of handing it over to others, I'm too tired to care. The situation is too exhausting to cope. Bring your inner power back. And there's no wrong here. There's no perfection here. It is just to watch how we speak to others as we narrate our lives, but also up here. He makes me, she makes me so angry. Now watch that. And then we can start to address what your brain is believing. And how do we want to work with it going forward? Because remember, I'm all about how to manage our brains in midlife on purpose and intentionally, not only for whole being happiness, but so that we can show up as our whole beings in the world, that we can show up for World Humanitarian Day, and that we can join the human race as our full selves, resilient, creative, thriving, and unstoppable. So take care of yourself. Really do. Take care of yourself this week. Bye for now.